The breeze is.
Let's get started.
Mhm.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We see new faces. Welcome. Good evening, Prof. Good evening, Coach Francis, Azril, Katir, Nurhani. We have Nurin. We have Prasanta. We have Tiffany. So if it's your first time seeing us, you can also welcome to our session. Our Self-Care Saturday. You can leave in the chat box, introduce yourself. You can also turn on your videos, and we're also live on Facebook for our Facebook audience as well. And my name is Felicia. I'm your host for our usual Self-Care Saturday. This is where it's a collaboration between Fit Unit and PRKPP. So this is an education platform where we try to approach subjects like mental health awareness and physical health and general well-being. And tonight we'll be talking, we have our past 20-something sessions, 20-over weeks, 20-over self-care Saturdays that we have done. You can actually refer back to like the YouTube links, the Zoom sessions that we have recorded for you to watch them. And also every week we target different topics. We tackle different topics to talk about. And this week we bring you a topic which is called mindful of your thoughts. It makes or breaks you. So this is actually quite interesting, mindful of your thoughts. How does it make or break you, right? So we have Prof. Muhammad to share. Prof, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Felicia. A very good evening to everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All right, before I share my slide, I would love that all of us try to actually be mindful of our thoughts right now. Maybe Felicia, you can actually give us 1 minute of your music, and we can sit quietly, we can gently close our eyes and just observe our thoughts in that 1 minute. Then maybe later, after we finish that 1 minute, we can actually see what was the thought that came into our mind, what was the most important thought that passed through, or the recurrent thought, or whatever that we have occupied in our mind. So let us do that 1 minute now, and just sit quietly, relax in your chair. Don't worry about your breathing. Just close your eyes gently and just let your mind wanders and see what kind of a thought that you can actually recollect in that pass through your mind for 1 minute. Okay, let us do that quietly. Just gently close your eyes and just listen to the music and then try to observe your thoughts. Okay, let us start now. All right. So already we have 1 minute and we have observed our thoughts. Maybe if anyone want to share, what was the thoughts that come to your mind? Rather very, how should I say, involuntarily or preoccupied in a way. Maybe anyone can just share before we go on to the slides. Anyone?
All right. Yeah, maybe I can share a little bit since I'm on. So yeah, so I do feel like I was enjoying the music, um, just the beats and everything. And just in that very short moment, when you say let's take the 1 minute to sort of like um, be quiet and just be in the moment. So for that 1 minute, I don't think I've thought about anything or get any distractions. So I was actually able to be ready for the next sharing, which is yeah. So I was able to recollect my mind, my thoughts for everything, and just put it aside and able to sort of like be ready to receive the sharing today.
All right, that is what we usually do. We have to prepare ourselves, and then we may put some music to actually initiate, the proper feeling, the proper emotion. Okay, thank you, Felicia. Yeah, similarly, I also don't have any thought because I was thinking basically, well, I have to move on with the presentation. But that is a thought actually. Okay,
Okay.
just let me share the slide I have with me. So just to recapitulate what is mindful, here we have what we call the acronym. Mindful with the letter M means moment to moment attention, and I means currently here and now situation, and for non-judgmental attitude.
Me, Prof, you can put your slide into full slide mode.
Okay, sorry, just gone rather in a hurry manner.
Right.
Okay, so M stands for moment to moment attention. I stands for current, here, present, and now. N is for non-judgmental attitude. D, detach yourself from all other thoughts, unhelpful thoughts. F, forgive and be grateful. U, being unconditionally accepting. And L, learn with a beginner's mind. So this is nice to actually remember all these acronyms so that you know what mindfulness is all about. Now the question is, so what is your biggest mental strength? So to me, the answer is, let's all begin with your mind, your thinking. So your thoughts is just the most important uh, tools that you need to have, positive tools, if you can use it positively, and it can also be a negative tools if you get it a very wrong way of looking at things. So when you change your thoughts, obviously you can change your world. This is Norman Vincent Peale, a very famous author with regard to personal development. So always observe your thought because your thoughts determines your action, determines your emotion, determines your character later. So obviously, there's many thoughts here that we can see. Not only just thoughts, but also we call it inner thought. So we have two things in us. Either we think about it or we say it quietly within ourselves. That is inner self-talk. Most important thing about the thought is that the negative or the thought traps, the number one thought traps is basically overthinking. This is where we call the art of creating problem that were not even there. We tend to actually create the problem with our overthinking, with our exaggerated thinking. So that is one issue here that we need to really recognize, because a lot of people are talking about once they have a particular thoughts, they start to actually dwell into it, and then they start to actually get it over and over with the same thinking, and they become more and more involved, more and more exaggerated, and that's when they end up with overthinking. And that will goes on for hours and sometimes for even days or so. And the other thing is obviously the overthinking or the so-called negative thoughts. They were questioning about their own ability, about their own so-called self-esteem, whatever their shortcomings are. So these are also what we call thoughts that are negative in nature. Or basically they have what we call the inner voice. Sometimes this inner voice are not a nice voice. They are very critical. Could be sometimes also very self-damaging. So you must learn how to actually conquer your inner voice. And then these are what we call the inner voice, positive self-talk and negative self-talk. No, a lot of people are looking at it negatively. They say that nothing is good, I am worthless. And so you can actually go for the opposite inner self-talk. Example that, nothing is good means there is actually way out of it, right? There must be some ability to just work things out kind of a thing. Or everything will work out very well. So if you look at it in a positive manner, you will then find ways. You are worthy. I know sometimes you say that you are stuck in the situation, but time will always pass. As you know, your life is like a turning wheel. At time it is on the top, and at other time it will be at the bottom, and it keep moving because your life is dynamic. To move forward, obviously the wheel has to turn. So sometimes it is up, sometimes it is at the middle part, sometimes it's down. So that is what life is all about, a dynamic kind of experience that we're having. And then all the other positive self-talk from the, being strong and able to actually continue doing and trying it out, never to give up, obviously remember that failure is just the next step before success, right? And then you can have a good self-confidence, you are actually feeling well and feeling sufficient, self-sufficient, feeling enough. So these are all the positive self-talk that you can have. When you have the negative self-talk, you must look for the opposite of that. This is called cognitive restructuring. The negative self-talk is called cognitive distortion. And so basically it's all about the way you are thinking. So there's also another aspect that you can say the self-talk is you can admit that you are making mistake, but not to actually blame yourself for that mistake. You're not dumb. So sometimes you actually blame and you so-called demean yourself. So that is sometimes the negative self-talk that is not good. And quite a number of us, unfortunately, has been going on having these so-called old records about our the past that we had, and we keep thinking that we are in the so-called negative inner voice that we have with us. So if we were to look at it, you always try to always do what we call cognitive reorientation, cognitive restructuring, and then if you got this thought, this so-called distortion, try to do thought stopping. Don't just dwell into it as much, because today I have a discussion with one of my client. The client saying that sometimes they try very best to look very positive, but the negative will always overcome the positive, and that's when goes back to the old ways of looking at things. So sometimes you try to take a forward step, maybe one, two, unfortunately, but whenever a problem comes up, you tend to take a step backward, not only one, maybe more step backward than moving forward. And that's where you remain at the same position. So the other issues about thought, these are called thought traps. We have got so many thought traps, as I said, overthinking, and then this is one of it. It's called ruminating thoughts. That means it's constantly and repetitive thoughts about something, usually about a problem, about a situation that you think you cannot get out of it, and it keep coming back again and again. It occupies your mind. It actually toil on your energy, mind energy, body energy. It disturbs your sleep, and this is where we call it your mind is busy. And when your mind is busy, you can't even have a good rest. You can't even take a good sleep. You can't even do things with focus and things of that nature. The other thing is with regard to intrusive thoughts. By intrusive thought, by definition, it is unwanted involuntary thoughts, images, or ideas, which is very upsetting for you or distressing, and you can't deal with it. Unfortunately, if you have this intrusive thought, you are actually about to get into what we call obsessive tendency, which is actually a mental disorders. Be careful about it, because once you actually goes into this kind of obsessive thoughts, it is very difficult to get out. So try not to escalate into a disorder state, right? So once you identify, allow your brain to move on, right? Deal with the thought loops and the intrusive thought. Learn how to accept, identify, and redirect your way of thinking. Also practice kindness, self-kindness, self-care, talk, which is soothing in nature, and reassure, rationalize your thought. So use a lot of defense mechanism, intellectualization, rationalization, right? Think it out, think it through. Then just tell yourself that this thought are just thoughts. It's not really true sometimes, but because you are stuck in it, it appears to be true, but it's actually our perception is very wrong. Try to find the source of the thought, understand that those thoughts are popping up for you. As I said, in our everyday life, we have about 70,000 thoughts that pass through us for 24 hours. Out of that, 80% are all old thoughts, maybe 20% only are new thoughts. And out of that, these old thoughts are usually old baggages, negative thoughts in nature. So this is where we keep bringing out those kind of thoughts in our everyday life subconsciously. And if you need help, you just reach out for support. So here, tonight we are talking about learn how to observe your thoughts instead of becoming overwhelmed by them. So this is very important. Learn to observe and then how to deal with it. Because all these all-consuming problems in your thoughts are really serious to some people. This is where I say that quite a number of us are quite fragile, ego-wise, are quite vulnerable in our so-called psychological health. So we easily succumb to all these thoughts. So if you were to be actually mindful, so the problem is not overwhelming around you. You can just put it as one of the corner. It is a problem, and then you look at it in a mindful way. Possibly, if you a little distressed, you can take a good breathing technique, or you can have sounds that could actually help you to calm yourself down. You can be in a good room, conducive room, and be in the present, and you look at things in a very light manner. So this is what we are doing tonight. We have to be very mindful of our thoughts because our thought determines our feeling and determines our actions. So what you can do, just observe. Don't try to dwell into it. Don't try to analyze it. Don't think too much about it and don't react. Just sit back, relax, observe, and at the end of the day, whether it is important or not, just don't make any judgment, just push it aside and go back to what is most important for you at that particular time. What was the intention? Maybe the intention is to relax, to calm down, then do what we call mindful breathing. Or maybe to focus on whatever your behavior is, maybe while you are doing your work, while you are actually eating, while you are actually praying, to go back to those things which is more priority rather than going into this thought that is a distractor to you. And sometimes it is good also to just do what we call journaling. Whatever this negative emotion, as what we discussed last week, all this emotion is good to write it down. And once you can write it down, you can see it clearly. You can see it in a proper manner. It comes and then you are making it more aware. Then you know how to deal with it because you have planned to deal with it in a positive manner. So the tip is that the more you can detach from your thoughts, the less you will react to them. So this is why mindful is all about. Mindful will teach you actually in all the aspects of things. Mindfulness will teach you how to take a pause. Mindful will teach you not to react. Mindful will make you feel in a way in control so that you are actually be much better because you are in charge, not your thoughts, not the surrounding, not whatever that is, because the choice is yours. You are in charge, you are in control. So you need to learn how to select your thoughts, just the same way as you select your clothes every day. So when we talk about cultivation, When we talk about development, it is a process, it is a journey, it is not something that is easily as a quick fix. But once you get used to it, once you are better, you have improved a lot in that sense of taking control, be mindful about your thoughts, be mindful about your emotions, and then be mindful about your behavior, then it will become your culture. So this is very important. You have to develop that it is you who is actually in charge of what you are with yourself. So if you can actually train your thoughts, you are letting go your thoughts, it's the power of thinking. So it is very important. You need to learn how to train your mind. This is where here we are focusing on how to actually train our conscious mind to overcome the subconscious mind, which bring a lot of automatic behavior, reflex action, and at the end of the day, it doesn't bring any good to you because actually you may do things without even knowing what it is. So this is the power of your thinking. So how to recognize negative thought? This is another trap. The trap is not about negative thoughts. So once you actually recognize the negative thoughts, identify what triggers those emotions, what triggers those thoughts. So you can choose, actually, your reality check is you can choose to ignore it, or you can choose to minimize it, or you can choose to exaggerate it. Unfortunately, for those fragile ego, vulnerable psychological health, obviously they have a tendency to oversensitize, over exaggerate, over generalize. So all those actually bring yourself to a negative kind of an outcome. And then subsequently, once you identify, you must learn how to challenge them. You must see where is the proof. Is it really correct? Is it accurate to have those kind of a thought? Or is there any other explanation that you can actually use to look into it? This is where we call a lot of people, possibly with a fixated mindset, they have what we call a very, a fixed mind, which cannot be changed. But we need to look into various perspectives. A lot of time people are talking about it is all a matter of your perspective. So your thought can be depend on only one particular perspective, and that unfortunately that perspective you believe it so much. Sometimes those are very wrong perception, wrong perspective, and very wrong belief, which at the end of the day become your values, become part of you. But unfortunately, it has been very wrong all the while. And then, if possible, you have to refrain your thoughts, which is at the end of the day, it become a better thought. It will make a new you, and then you can become, how should I say, it's very successful with whatever that you are taking in your endeavors. So, as you know, your mind is a powerful thing. So, when you fill it with a positive thought, obviously your life will start to change. So, as I said, this is your biggest mental strength that you have. If you use it rightly, you will get it a positive outcome. So, for the student and for anyone, everyone actually, from now on, from today, learn how to nurture your mind. Unfortunately, we have what we call the concept of nature versus nurture. Nature means possibly we have some kind of genetic predisposition. We call what we call some kind of innate thing that is we have, maybe from our genes, parent genes or grandparent genes. But nurture is very important, where you learn how to develop your mind well, nurture them, stimulate them, learn to get better with your mind, and obviously that will end up with flourishing your life. So with that, I will stop the sharing so that we can actually have a discussion or sharing remarks. All right, thank you, Felicia. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Prof. I think you mentioned a very good quote. One of the, I just want to echo that if you don't, you mentioned if you don't train your mind, you are actually letting your thoughts happen by chance.
Yes.
So that I really find interesting. So how do you train your mind? What are the, because you mentioned observing, and
Right,
you take a deep breath. You have taught us this last couple of weeks on the mindful breathing. So how does one actually train their mind?
Basically, again, this is what we call mindfulness.
Right.
Train your mind is actually to be aware of your thoughts to start with. A lot of time, when actually you start your day, sometimes you already start on what we call the wrong side of the bed.
Mm,
Everything appears to be rather not working for you in that sense. It is all because you already prime yourself even before you sleep. You actually did not let go things, so you don't have a very good sleep. And so when you woke up, it is still lingers with you. The previous day thoughts are always there. And then you just need to have a lot of negative stimulus, those things become heightened again. So be actually mindful of your thought. Now, it will come. All these good thoughts and bad thoughts will come. In fact, quite a number of us always believe in the morning we want to have a good 24-hour kind of life and living for the day. But unfortunately, if we become mindless, then the old records, the old thoughts, the old concept of difficult baggages that we are carrying will come
mm,
and take charge. So that is where you need to take note about it. So if possible, whenever you have any thoughts, good or bad, just give a pause
mm,
and look at it in a proper manner. Especially if it is a good thoughts, then learn how to actually enhance it further,
mm,
propagate it and use it and try to maintain it. And then if there are any particular negative thoughts, all right, as just now what we say, just observe it. Don't need to make any judgment. Don't even need to actually react on it. Don't overthink. So because you have to focus on what you want to do at that particular time. What happened? This is I just had a discussion with one of my student, a final year student. She was complaining to me that actually distract her. Whenever
mm,
she tried to focus on doing the study for the final exam, there are some stimulus that comes in and disturb, and then it goes into escalating into overthinking, and then it spoil the whole day. Can't even sleep, can't even study, because actually you are not mindful about those negative thoughts and things of that nature that disturb you or distract you.
right.
So you have to take charge, and this is where once you better and better, your growth is going to be much improved.
Mm. Are there
So that's
any are there any like questions
yeah.
you can ask yourself to stop yourself from overthinking, or having these ruminating thoughts? You saying that it's usually
Okay.
triggered by our past experience, usually unpleasant ones. So we can't avoid those,
Yeah.
especially I think under stressful environments such as nowadays.
Yeah.
How does one
Mm.
ask? How, if in your position, like what would you ask? What kind of question will you ask to be sort of like create that
Oh,
mindfulness and to detach from, like, yeah.
yeah. The first question I will ask, is it worthwhile to dwell into those thoughts?
Mm,
Is it beneficial? Uh, will it bring a new outcome? Because as you know, old thoughts and negative thought, it will just make you into more and more complicated situation.
right.
So ask the question, uh, what is the thing that you want? What is the outcome that you want? And if those outcome is not going to be achieved, so there's no point trying to dwell into it. And then the second question is that what can you do with all those thoughts? I
Mm,
mean, you try to, maybe your thought was talking about, someone that you are not happy with. You try to change that person. But do you think you can change that person in that manner? I mean, these are all very faulty way of looking, trying to change the world, trying to change the people, trying to change the relationship, when actually, it is very difficult to impose anything on anyone. But at least you can change yourself.
mm,
So I think your thoughts and your emotion, you are in charge. So sometimes just forget about trying to make a difference for other people, but just make sure that don't defeat yourself. Don't hurt yourself.
Right.
Have a lot of self-care with self-love.
And compassion, be
And
kind to yourself.
compassionate with be kind to yourself.
Okay,
Compassionate
I
with
want
yourself.
to summarize the two questions that you mentioned just now. First is to ask, yourself, is it
Worth it or not?
worth it or not to dwell in these so-called thoughts, right? And the second of all is what can you do with it, right? What can I do with it? How with these thoughts, can I do anything about this situation? So if you can't, you observe and you let it go, you detach. And I like the last part that you mentioned. I think because we are very we attach ourselves to worldly matters, like so I think most of us, if we are in this position, watching on Facebook or watching on Zoom, on Zoom, we are still quite on the privileged side, that we are able to have access to the internet. We are living under a roof. We have food on our table. We have definitely our own struggles, but sometimes we worry about what are the people doing out there, losing their jobs or having certain financial worries, or so many things. Sometimes it may not be a direct worry, but it could be like an indirect, somebody complained to you or you saw some injustice happening. So sometimes we get very overwhelmed with this kind of news. And how do we detach from it? And how do we display compassion or do something about it, but at the same time we protect our own sanity, so to speak.
Okay, number one is always remember, if you go for the extreme, under and overdoing things are all bad. So you can't be overwhelmed with so many things, with so many issues outside there, which is again beyond your control.
Yeah.
You can be compassionate. You can do the best you can to assist, to help. But don't try to join the band, the group that actually, as though like they can make the difference, as though like people want to listen to you. I mean, these are all false hope, maybe we call it. A lot of people are actually doing things based on a false premise, thinking that their voice may hurt someone and may make a difference. But if someone who doesn't want to listen to you, it doesn't matter what you're trying to say. At the end of the day, it will hurt you badly, actually. Like nowadays, people are talking about we don't have any freedom of speech. So when you try to say something to someone, you may get into trouble. And nowadays, so-called saman menyaman kind of a thing is so common. Lawyers pun memang suka di kind of a case, dia menang dua-dua pihak pun. Siapa saman siapa pun, the lawyer will get the money.
Right.
And they can even charge you quite expensive just to defend you. So I guess you must know like your position. Ramai, quite a number of us basically, I would say, really have a very wrong understanding of how things work and how things goes with the community, with the people. So most important, you can only govern yourself. You can make a difference, you can voice yourself out, but remember there are limitations, there are, what should I say, be smart in whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Don't be a fool, which at the end of the day, make you the worst fool, and you actually face all the music that you're trying to do. So true enough, people say don't be a coward. You must say things out, true, but you know how to say it out in a proper manner.
Yeah.
So that is the issue. It's not that you cannot say it out, you can.
Yeah. We do not let the emotion get the best of us, and we have to. I think we have this topic, being emotional, having emotional intelligence is also part of good, good. It's part of our lives. We cannot just do whatever we want and getting away with it, right? Everything has consequences. Yeah. So when choosing your thoughts, when you train your mind, it's also not letting things penetrate your mind without permission. So those are not very good, because it affects you, it affects your people around you, and how your effects your temper, your emotions, and it brings out anger and all these unpleasant,
unnecessary unpleasant.
So that would be definitely a negative negative thing already. So we should avoid that, put some boundaries.
Yeah. There were times before when we hate to see our own local news, we see that they are not fair, they're not
There's a lot of
transparent.
injustice, right?
So we become so hateful that at the end of the day, it's better for me to hear news from overseas rather than local, and then you are losing whatever the news that currently is going on. So I guess those are the issues. We may be over emotional, so be careful about that. That's why we call it, when we talk about the last week, emotion, mindful of emotion. It's about emotion management.
Right.
And now it's about thought management. And as you know, emotion derived from thoughts, and behavior also derived from emotion. So it is all linked. It all, should I say, it all interrelated. So now we goes into this position of mindful thoughts, mindful your thought. As you know, the topic is, it may makes or breaks you.
Yeah.
So nobody makes or breaks you.
Only
You are the one who
you allow yourself to be angry, right? You allow yourself to feel certain things. Yeah, so if you have any questions, definitely do ask in the chat box. So if you're watching on Facebook, you can ask Prof, and we can discuss this as well. Yeah, but I want to bring it back to also one of your slides that you shared just now, something about there is this positive and negative view. I think something like tell yourself, I am useless, or I am lovable, I am not enough, or you must tell yourself I am sufficient. So in your opinion, is affirmations important? Do we need to remind ourselves every single day? Like you mentioned journaling, right?
Yes.
So are affirmations a part of your what would you prescribe?
So this is basically a field of NLP.
Okay.
Neuro-linguistic programming. Because as you know, you have been programmed subconsciously, and now you have to put new words to go into your central nervous system, the brain, and to program your conscious and your subconscious mind. So actually, all these affirmations, all these so-called good statement phrases and whatnot, will make you look into it in another perspective, in another manner. I guess you must have some kind of affirmation. I mean, as you know, into this so-called affirmative statement, every day I'll be better and better.
Yes.
I'll be stronger and stronger. I'll be healthier and healthier. I'll be much productive. So these are all positive vibes that you can bring into yourself. So you need to have those things. The worst thing is that if you can't do it alone, if you're trying to hide yourself and try to say it out yourself alone, you may become easily lose to this situation. You need buddies, you need friends, you need other people to also tell you who you really are, how good you are, kind of a thing. So these are inner voice, which is very critical.
Yeah.
So this inner self-talk can actually be changed. As I said, all these are actually a domain of cognitive therapy. So in cognitive therapy, if you don't do it properly, you got cognitive distortion. If you got cognitive distortion, you become depressed, and that's when it escalates into bigger and worse situation to the level of self-defeating, guilty, self-worthlessness, and things of that nature. So this is what we are trying to teach you, to reorientate your mind, to reorientate your condition. Okay, so it is very important. NLP is everywhere.
Like how would you suggest like how many like people say, like you take 21 days to sort of create a habit, and maybe 90 days to change your lifestyle, right? So in your opinion, like using cognitive therapy, how long does a person or an individual need to practice something for them to be good at it, or really realize it?
I think the key is believe in yourself. You can't even you can be with a good guru who actually trying to assist you, help you, but you still have this wrong perception of yourself, wrong belief of yourself, poor self-esteem. It's very difficult to change those things. I mean, those words become just words. Doesn't even touch your heart. So I think the issue here is that how much do you actually believe yourself? You believe negatively, that's why it becomes so strong. Now that belief must be changed to possibly a positive belief. So I want you to again advise that rule of three, 3 months that you can make a difference, or 3 weeks you can make the habit change. But unfortunately, you just imagine what happened after 1 year of COVID-19 trying to teach us to have a new habit. We still cannot achieve that new habit.
Yeah.
Why it is not a norms when it's supposed to be a new norms? That is because first, resistant to change. Second, we don't believe whatever it is about the COVID, and also about what we can do to actually prevent from getting the infection.
That's
In
how
fact,
stubborn. Yeah, that's how stubborn we are, right?
So basically, if you were to know what they told us about the SOPs, are actually it has been there as a first line of our immunity.
Right.
Before this, we have our so-called seals in our nose. We have all the secretions in our throat. We have our skin, which is also, taking out all those excretions. So those are our first line of defense. So similarly, when you put on your mask, when you put on your, face shield, when you use this PPE, these are the thing actually. Yeah, first line. In fact, there's nothing new about that. In fact, if
Just
you
the basic.
understand, it's a basic understand. And again, beside that, the physical distance and all those kind of a thing. Also, the hygiene, the cleanliness. These are all actually just a simple basic thing that actually, if we decide not to use it, I think it's just a waste lah for whatever that it is good for yourself, cleanliness and hygiene.
Some people, like they always say, some people they have to learn from either other people's mistake, or you have to fool will learn from your own mistake. So hence, that's all these wisdom, and it is up to us to make it happen, right?
The only thing I can remind you, most of us, including myself, I guess, we are always risk takers, but unfortunately, we don't calculate our risk. We just bluntly face the risk, and we see
very impulsive.
You can take risks, but you must calculate your risk. You must know how to do it, because at the end of the day, it is not worth if the outcome is bad. For example, like for you, you keep saying about exercise, about the eating, and for me, I still take the risk of actually not caring for it. That is where I said, actually, quite a number of us, if I can use this word, every day actually we have a wishful thinking, wanting to die fast, because we don't know ourselves. We don't realize that actually. We take risks unnecessarily. Basically, if we actually put our mind, we can understand, oh my God, actually, we just wish that we can die, even though you don't have suicidal ideation. Because your behavior doesn't reflect that you cherish your life.
Yeah. But the door is always open. Hence why I think everybody needs the nudge. Even as coaches, even as in the fitness and wellness line for a number of years, I find myself sometimes even getting out the door, or putting my exercise outfit on, is a chore, right? So, or even getting up. So it gets the best of everybody. I think it's really important, like you said. It's not about doing like perfection. It's just about showing up. It's about making that conscious decision, that mindful thinking. You train your mind to do certain things, create a routine, a habit, and you mentioned also you cannot do this alone. You do need support. So hence why I see among the clients that I coach, usually those who will most likely to stick around, even though they don't feel so tremendous improvement in terms of their weight, but they keep coming back because they have a group of people that supports them. So just bit by bit, So I think that works. That works very well, with the group dynamics and the constant education and reminder.
For any behavior problem, if you were to understand the concept of a behavior-based management, behavior-based management cannot be done alone. You must have a buddy, you must have a support. So that is what behavior-based management is all about. So if you are talking about behavior-based healthy management, behavior-based safety management, behavior-based financial management. So you need actually a support from people who knows, people who can give you ideas and things like that. The other key word actually cropped up from what you just said is basically, are you passionate about yourself getting better? And are you having compassion about actually kind to yourself to start with? So I think if you are not kind to yourself, that's why you hurt yourself. You actually don't, you take life of yourself. I think that is the two key word that is very important. Be passionate about living and life and about looking after yourself, and be also compassion to yourself too, beside you do for others. Okay.
Right. So yeah, I just want to welcome a few more people from Facebook. There's also like newcomers that join us. Chan Sao Lin, there's G as well. Welcome. Yeah, you can let us know where you're from. You can comment in the chat box. We want to know about you, and because we do share our links in groups and things like that. So yeah, we wouldn't know where you're from and we would like to know about you. We want to welcome you. And yeah, we have these sessions every Saturday at 9 p.m. And it's made possible between the collaboration of ourselves, Fit Unit and Prof. Muhammad, and also PRKPP, so which is an education NGO platform to educate, to give a little nudge and reminder about mental health awareness. We have discussed so much during the pandemic about your general well-being, mental health, and also fitness and nutrition. And so, yeah, so if you want somebody like when Prof. Muhammad mentioned behavior management, right? So you do need a person to talk to, professional help. So Prof. Muhammad is a go-to person. If you want to talk about you want to have somebody to talk to. I think this is really important. We need to normalize these conversations so that we are able to um, uh, move towards knowing and identifying what we're feeling. And if it's not going the way that we want it to be, then we have to take charge and take control of it. So that is by sometimes having a professional help or a trusted family or friends to actually help you to overcome your situation. And also for me, I deal a lot with fitness and lifestyle coaching, online corporate wellness, and also group trainings. So yeah, that's how we came about together. Yeah. So Prof, you have anything to summarize?
Yeah, basically, again, as I said, number one is actually we all here to be together. Everyone actually are resourceful. You have your, your strength in a way that you can support us. Maybe for us, the older generation, need to understand the younger generation, how things are with you all. So I guess there's no one person who knows everything. So the other concept from there is that means we are here as a family.
Right.
I realize the problem of this PTPR, this so-called homeschooling kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The issue about homeschooling is that it takes three parties to work together to collaborate: the teacher, the school, and then the parent plus the children or the student. Similarly with all of us here. So it takes all of us to collaborate with each other to get the best outcome. So I think until unless we stop pointing fingers, until unless we blame others for the fault we thought we are okay, the others is at fault, I think these are not the proper way to handle the problem. So why don't we do what we call case management? In case management, we manage the case accordingly. Let's say who has the resources, they will have. If all the three parties don't have the resources, even among us, we don't have the resources, we try to actually link to other resources, the external resources.
Right.
We may consider ourselves at micro level, then we go for macro level, let's say. From within, we turn outward and we look for more. So this is where they call it, unity, when you are all put together then you become very strong. So it all started with your mind. It's all started with yourself. So if all of us are like-minded, so obviously I think we'll have a better outcome. That's
Right.
how I look at it.
Nice. I think that is great because like you mentioned, instead of pointing, you point one finger to others, the three fingers actually point back to you, right? So it's better to work as a group, and we know our strengths and weaknesses and how we complement each other. So this is really a way of us having this conversation and hoping that you will reach, we have about 12, 13 people who's listening, and it's good to have this conversation outside this circle, outside this call, right? And that's how we actually start the ball rolling. Yeah, we may be at a micro level, but we can be impactful, definitely slowly into the community. So starting with ourselves, our unit, our family, and to our family and friends and so forth. Yeah. So
In fact, our network is very big.
Yeah.
If
Definitely.
you can introduce to your own friend, your classmates, your family, each and every one of us introduce to someone, then at least we can possibly share the knowledge, share the understanding, because it is not easy to reach out to everyone. But we can become the introducer, we can become the networker, or the linkages and things like that. So,
yeah, I think that's powerful. You can be an introducer, you can be a facilitator, right? So yeah, definitely we want to end this session by thanking everybody. If you want to switch on your camera, it will be nice to see a face. And we would like to, Coach Francis is back on. Yeah, we would like to
Coach, last word, Coach, last word.
Yeah, any last words to summarize for tonight?
I was all the while listening, okay?
I know.
Welcome, everybody. I think this is a good platform. I think we are very, very blessed, with Prof with us, because he's so-called a real professional, a clinical practitioner, to have such an open platform, So it's good that get more people to come in, okay? And now is the time to we have to increase our ears, listening ear to the outside people. And if there's any issue, bring it back to us, no problem. I think with Prof around, I think we'll be able to, lead them to the right way of so-called getting out of it, you see. Because this is a very delicate thing. Sometimes we think you're okay, but actually it's building up. So when you heard about, too much hectic pressure actually outside, there's too many things. Every day, everything you see, WhatsApp sharing, everything, news, all are negative. So when you are under the pressure of so much of negativity, it's very difficult to stay positive, and which is a very dangerous thing. When you are negative, you have to correct it as soon as possible. So I think today's session is very good, and of course the link is recorded, so you all can share it out with your friends and also review it, so that maybe at one time your thoughts will come out, and then at least you know there's something that you can do about it. Then you can seek further next step to get proper advice. Okay, thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you for introducing yourself, Saulin. She's a retiree from Ipoh. So nice. Definitely get. I think even during retirement, we can always add on more knowledge, and these are all, checking on each other, be positive. And we do need everybody. We do need to have compassion on ourselves, and we do need to have compassion for other people. That's why we are here, Self-Care Saturday, right? And thank you so much again, Prof. Thank you, Coach Francis. Thank you to our FIT unit and PRKPP. Especially Prof. Muhammad and everybody. We wish you a blessed weekend and happy EMCO to all the affected areas. So stay safe, stay home. Stay negative, but be optimistic, right?
It's basically, obviously there is a reason why you need to be at home, because I think knowing this variant, knowing the seriousness of this problem, as I said, even it doesn't spare even a small baby. A baby also can get infected, the whole family can get infected. a young person already can get infected. So I guess try to understand what is going on, because this virus keep changing, keep mutating, and it's re-emerging in other countries now.
Right.
So be
Yeah.
careful.
So definitely stay safe is our it's our first staying safe at home. And yeah, today I ran 5 km at home. I hope you're doing some exercises, moving your body, listening to music, use different expressions to express your emotions in a healthy way. And yeah, maybe you turn to cooking, you turn to your pets, and there's so many things that we can all support each other. So put on some, creative ideas and read a book, check in with a friend. Yeah, we can do so many things. So I hope you all stay safe and have a good weekend. So have a great week ahead, right? So everybody, good night.
Okay, good night. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Good night,
See you
everyone.
again
Good
next week.
night. Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you.